We are live, everybody. Welcome to Fanatics Frenzy. Of course, it's your handsome host over here, you know.
Sorry,
We are not cutting this part out. We are not cutting this part out. Yeah,
Okay.
it is your handsome host. I am standing on business over here, Mr. Dennis, you know, the host with the most, you know. The best of the best. All right.
do you have a stage name, or did you just forget your real name?
I just forgot my real name. It is what it is. You know, I just forgot my real name, but it happens. How are you doing?
Good.
You know,
How are you?
Pretty good. Blessed. You know, first week back to work. You know, but hey, I can't complain. Life is good.
Yep.
Let's get that money. So you know, how is everything been so far for you?
Good. I'm a little, down. My Longhorns got beat, so it's just.
That's why I kept asking how well you are doing. You know, I know.
Good season. I think. I mean, the thing that I wanted to see was a good game at least, and they played them as. We'll talk about it in a little bit. This next game's not going to be a game, so They gave him a test all the way down to last minute, last 2 minutes of the game, 1 yard line.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, well,
the world famous Ohio State
Buckeyes.
Yeah,
you know.
Gus Johnson out there.
That's right. But make sure you subscribe, like, comment. You know, we hot on the YouTube Shorts. You know, go check that out. You know, Instagram is also going off. Definitely go follow. You know, send it to your friends and family. Tell them two amazing guys that talk about sports. You know, and tell them they also check it out. But today, unfortunately, a couple of days, Monday, we got the unfortunate news of a Cowboys change, in head coach. Which
fortunate, unfortunate, depends on what side of the fence you're on.
True. We're gonna get into that a little bit. We will talk also about some college football coach rankings based on the teams that made it to the semifinal.
Yep.
And then also we'll talk about Texas Longhorns going forward. You know, they got Arch Manning coming in there and all that kind of stuff. What's up? You know, and then of course on Monday will be the national championship game. And, some people are saying it's a big mismatch, which it could be, but hey, we'll get into all that kind of stuff. But that is what, we're going to get into today. And I'm, very, very excited. And you have something else that you want to talk about. You want to go into that first? Or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
So, everybody has, their fan affiliation, what school they like, who they follow, whether it be college, pro, whatever. Mm-hmm. There was a story many years ago. This was, I want to say 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
You may not even know this story because I think it was before you even got here. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, everybody knows Nebraska, Nebraska Cornhuskers football. It's a big deal. Spring games are now legendary, depending on what program, big programs, even Nebraska. They have big spring games. But there was a young man by the name of Jack Hoffman, and he was battling cancer, battling brain cancer, and Nebraska did one of the coolest things that it kind of started a lot of what you see when there's, somebody with an illness, special needs, where they're getting plays in games, whether it's basketball, football, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So they brought him into the spring game. They gave him a handoff. He runs, I think it was a 69-yard touchdown. Everybody's celebrating.
Yes, sir. Coolest thing ever.
The coolest thing ever. A couple of things that I did not know when I was reading this yesterday, actually, because, the news is, unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 19. And, when they originally went in, they said that they could remove a little bit of it. His dad, Andy, actually found a doctor in Boston. Went in, they were able to remove 90%, gave him a little bit of a life. The young man did amazing things with what he had. He was actually a law student, everything looking forward. But during the middle of that, I think it was 2020, Andy, his father, got a brain tumor and actually passed away before he did. And so one of the things that the young man mentioned his father saying was, and something that's important to me, really resonated with me, important, to everybody listening, was that he was having some vision problems with his brain tumor, when he was going through treatment. And when he got the handoff, he was telling his dad, hey, I can't really see out in front of me. So, do you have any suggestions? And his dad said, when you get the ball and you look up and you look forward, run all the way until you hit the fence. So if you watch when he runs, he doesn't just stop at the goal line. He runs all the way like he's going to run through the back of it. So just an amazing story. He always lived by that. He did the best, that he could, in such a short life. Every day is a gift. Nothing's guaranteed.
True.
But in sports, when you see a moment like that, that moment won an ESPY award for the Sports Moment of the Year that year. Just an incredible thing, incredible life. And, prayers go out to the mom for obviously, Jack yesterday, but her husband, a few years ago. Yeah. So just an amazing story. And it just goes to show sports, it resonates with everybody. It transcends, cultural backgrounds, races. So just something I wanted to share. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, go check out Jack Hoffman. Go check out the run. Read the story. It's incredible. You won't be disappointed.
Definitely. Rest in peace to Jack Hoffman. And like you said, thoughts and prayers with the family. And definitely, that's very cool. That's very cool. We're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So on Monday, we heard that the coach is fired. Coach Mike McCarthy was fired. Okay. And you and I have sat here a few times. I think within the course of this podcast, we went from him definitely being fired to him getting his job back to him definitely getting a job somewhere. And, I did not think he was going to get fired, especially when the Cowboys blocked the interview request from the Bears, after the season was over. And then we wake up and he's gone. Mutually, parted ways, sure, if you want to put it that way. And I understand the need for a change after a season like that, but also as a season like that, when you lost your quarterback, you have a lot of injuries on defense and all that kind of stuff. Even on the line of scrimmage, there was a lot of injuries and all of that. And the way they ended the season, I think they did well with the way they ended the season. They did, and I thought he had earned the right to come back again, and the reports that were coming out was saying that the biggest disagreement was on the length of the contract. Okay, which I also understand that, but then that's out of the way, whatever, whether you agree or disagree with that, it is what it is. But then I want to get you, and there's been a lot of commentary about all that kind of stuff, but I want to get into who will be your ideal candidate, and there's been a few names that have come up. Coach Prime has come up. I believe they have also requested interviews from the former offensive coach, who is with the, what do you call it? The Eagles right now.
Kellen Moore
has also, and then
Robert Saleh,
and they've also requested an interview from the assistant coach of Seahawks. Yep. Which I think that's just to
Pete Carroll's name was mentioned in there.
Even Bill. Yeah. Bill came up because I don't know if you heard. Apparently, Bill has not signed his contract.
He has not, and his buyout is only $1 million.
Yep. So it went from 10 to 1. That's what we thought it was 10, but it's $1 million. So who will be your ideal candidate? For the Dallas Cowboys, America's team.
First thing that I'll set, from kind of square baseline is, I'm not sure that they really wanted to part ways. I think there was just a situation where they both had different ideas. Okay. Contract, I think, came down to it.
Right.
I think for all intents and purposes, Mike McCarthy was coming back.
I thought so.
The rumor, look, you can't just go online and look at candidates because it's going to pull up 50 different people.
Right.
There was a rumor even going around during the Texas game after it ended about they declined the interview to the Bears because they were interested in Sarkisian. I don't think that was ever even a real possibility for two reasons. Sark has built something, and he's going to continue. You know,
he's not leaving that. Yeah,
that's he just signed an extension. He's got everything he wants there. He's got to win. He's got to worry about winning a title for himself first.
Right.
Any kind of championship before he thinks about the NFL. But I think the Deion Sanders. You know, everybody's saying it comes down to, he wants to coach his son, and they're going to be, I saw reports about trading Dak for, the first round pick and another pick so they could move up. And no.
There's just too much. That's just too much. Yeah.
If you actually understand, contracts and money and free agency and how things work, that's not going to happen.
Too complicated.
Now, what I will say.
And I like Deion. I like Deion, I know you like, I like Deion, but I'm more like the biggest Deion coming to Dallas fan. That's just, I like Deion.
If it comes down to what will make the biggest splash,
of course,
Deion Sanders 100%. Is the biggest splash.
Yeah.
How long would it take for that to wear off?
2 years, maybe.
Well, it depends on if he wins or not. Because if you go a year and you're.
But that's the thing, though.
You win 10 games, you miss the playoffs, maybe you make it in a wild card.
You just signed your quarterback to his second long-term deal, the biggest in the NFL history. This is not time for try and error. That's my thing. It's not
whoever you bring in has got to be.
He's going to have to win. That's my thing.
You've got a 2-year window here, and I don't mean.
Maybe you want
to win two,
right?
You want to win two. You don't want to come in and be like, let's blow off the first year and maybe we get.
Nope.
Whoever comes in is coming in to win immediately. Deion's name is out there because it's polarizing. He's a big name, obviously. Shador, he considers Travis Hunter his own kid. He's looking after him, and when he says his sons, he means Shiloh. He means Travis as well, and Shador. Yeah. So it's a big name. He's going to get. Talked about. If you watch the interview with Michael Irvin on Colin Cowherd, he said he had good sources. Obviously, he knows Deion well.
Yeah, he's been to the game.
If a job's offered to Deion, he's going to take it.
Right.
I don't think it'll get to that point. I think the names right now that I think are probably going to get the most reality is Kellen Moore. And I know everybody he was here and but here, if you look at it, Mike McCarthy was really responsible for Kellen Moore leaving.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was like, hey, he doesn't run the ball enough. Well, he didn't run the ball as much as Kellen Moore did. You see what Kellen Moore's now done at Philadelphia, and Jerry's probably thinking, wait a minute, who was it?
Right.
So I get the validity in that. The other thing is you got to consider is everybody's talked about it. Dallas is a different position. You've seen Troy Aikman's comments about whether it's a coveted position. I think there are certain people out there who would love to take it, but it's not one of those jobs where, if you relate it to college, where it's like Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, when those come up, people would kill for those positions. I don't think the Cowboys head coaching position is like that anymore. And the thing about Kellen Moore that fits Jerry, he wants a puppet. He doesn't want a puppeteer. Jerry's the puppeteer.
Right. So you want somebody he can control.
You got to be able to control. You got to be able to, if Jerry makes a decision, it's like, okay, I got to roll with it. And, Mike McCarthy fit that to an extent. But I think at the end of the day, McCarthy said, hey, this is what I want. And, it didn't work out. So I think that's probably the top name right now. I saw Leslie Frazier's name being mentioned.
Yeah,
There's talks about, what about Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin ain't coming here. It's not the same franchise. They play different types of football. It's defensive versus offensive. And I really do think right now
Kellen
Moore is the leader in the clubhouse, whether you like it or not.
I can see that, and like we try to have this conversation earlier on, and it's kind of like, with what you're saying, you can come up with like the most logical, sensible, best candidate ever, but then if Jerry can control that candidate, then it's like he doesn't even have a chance. So yeah,
take Ben Johnson. teams were playing in the playoffs, and they said, hey, Jerry really screwed himself because he could have requested an interview, and he declined McCarthy and all that. Mm-hmm. Well, he's already reached out and informed the Eagles that he's going to interview Kellen Moore.
And then
I think if Ben Johnson was a real candidate, he at least already would have been notified.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you.
That's crazy, man. That is crazy. Then if it's gonna come down to that, because I don't even know if Jerry can even control Dion. It probably. I don't know all about that.
No, because that's the and you look at other platforms, and obviously everybody watches a little bit of Stephen A. Smith. He said, Dion comes here. Jerry doesn't necessarily want to bring someone in who's going to overshadow him or who's going to, be the headliner or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily accurate.
Okay.
I think he would. But from a control standpoint, Dion is already he doesn't have to prove anything. Yeah. He already brings that with him. So Dion would fit, but I think, to be honest, with Jerry wanting to win, I say this, Jerry's made so nobody really knows, but Jerry wants money, which would be the Dion move, right? He wants he wants polarizing, he wants marketing, he wants all that. Dion would be the guy for that,
right?
So I don't want to say that that's off the table at all, but I think that's secondary. It's you're looking at what can we do in this next year, possibly second year, Kellen Moore he's most familiar with the guys.
Yeah, 100%.
He's most familiar with the
Dak.
Offense.
Yeah.
And it makes the most sense. And again, that's why he's the leader.
Dak had one of his best years when Kellen Moore was calling plays, and Kellen Moore is going to air that boy out. And hey, I heard, Kellen Moore is a Boise State guy, so he might be able to whisper Ashton Jeanty into,
that's the projection right now. Whether the Cowboys want that or not,
Oh my God!
So, I think it's Kellen Moore's job to lose.
Oh Lord, this is a mess. Big mess in the big D. But hey, we're gonna represent still Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Let's go to college coaches right now, okay? And this was a special request by you, and you wanted to go into ranking the coaches who made it to the semifinal. Okay, so the teams were Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, and the 4 coaches that made it there. Which they all had a great year, an amazing year. We have Steve Sarkisian from Texas, Ryan Day from the Ohio State Buckeyes, Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and then James Franklin from Penn State. Okay, those are the 4 coaches that made it to the semifinal. What would you rank these teams? And let me see how I agree with you on that.
I may surprise you a little bit on this.
Okay.
So when I looked at this originally, I was thinking, and I looked at some stats earlier today about these teams who has the 5 stars and the 4 stars and a few 3 and who's spending the money, and it actually kind of shocked me what I started thinking, because when you look at it originally, it's like, Ohio State with what they've done in the playoff, Ryan Day's won. Okay, I'm going to shock you a little bit on that. And then you look at, James Franklin, he did good. He won a couple of big games. I'm going to shock you on that a little bit. Steve Sarkisian, what he's done to the team. Okay, he's made an impact. And then we'll get into Marcus Freeman. So I'm going to start from 4 and work my way up to 1.
Okay.
So 4, James Franklin.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily a knock on him, because to be honest with you, if he wasn't in the 4, I'd probably put him at like 8.
Okay.
I think he did better this year than he's ever done.
Right.
He had a favorable draw.
Okay.
He did. The thing that I really liked is he had a very young, inexperienced quarterback.
Yep.
He was able to build the team on running the football, which both running backs are coming back next year. He built the team on defense.
Abdul Carter and all of that. Yep.
As a young quarterback, manage the game, try not to force, turnovers. And what happened, right, when they went up against Notre Dame, he had to make some plays, and so I put James Franklin at number 4, probably the best that he's done to this point.
Okay. I can see that. With that 4, I agree with you. Okay.
3, Ryan Day. Everybody's giving him a ton of credit.
Yep.
He deserves it for turning around after the Michigan game, winning a couple of games, getting into the Texas game. Everybody thought it was going to be a blowout. To be honest with you, if you look at the rosters as a whole, they're even.
Right.
They're even.
It's pretty
now,
even.
They both spent the same amount of money on them, $20 million, essentially both ways. Ohio State, brought in a couple. That they really didn't go out and buy like people think they did. They were paying to keep players. Texas brought in a couple of receivers. They paid some of the other players, to stay there and play. I think he gets a ton of credit for getting his team up, for getting it, going into the playoff on a low, and they're playing their best football.
Right.
My thing is, you put any of these other 3 coaches on that team, national title all day long.
Okay.
The talent is too big to ignore.
Right.
You could argue that Texas had just as much, and if that play at the goal line, we'll get into that in a minute, because Sark's, he's got to take a hit for that.
Right.
If they score that, if they go into overtime, if that play, that game turns out different, either team would have been a favorite in the title.
Yeah, 100%. That was a national championship before the national championship. We said that. Yeah. And I agree with you.
So, by Sark and all of those mistakes, he's 2.
Okay. So Sark is 2.
He's 2.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I know. Hold your excitement. If you actually cut it down, the goal line drive, terrible.
Toss.
The toss, it's going to go down as one of the worst play calls in college football playoff history.
100%.
Even first year of the 12
team playoff,
it's going to go down as CFP.
Yep.
You know it. I've talked about Quinn Ewers. I think he's turned the program around. I've shared stats. I've shared all of that. Arch has a bigger upside. Quinn was the guy we needed at the time.
Yep.
Quinn has the potential to win a national title.
Yep.
In that scenario, you run that first play, you bring Arch in with one extra blocker, quarterback sneak it, you do it a second time, big package. If you don't get a yard on 4 straight running plays where you're outmanning the defense, live with it. It's their ball on the goal line, essentially, coming back. You got your timeouts. We live for another drive. We can air it out, right? So for that reason, I put him at 2. If you look at the overall game and what he did, it was actually a pretty good game. It was a tight defense. Everybody's complaining about, Texas offense started slow, and if Arch Manning was in there, they'd have blew him out. No. He called the game the right way. Quinn, 285 yards against that defense. The one interception was a force because they were already down by 14. Sack fumble. The guy gets beat like he stole something. So Sark's number 2. I think he's going to end up probably winning one.
Okay.
Everybody thinks it's going to be next year. It's not. Because we'll talk about that when we get to the Longhorn status. Everybody's like, oh, this is the year Heisman. No, we'll talk about that in a minute. So your boy. You get the parade and the confetti and
right now. So you're saying we're getting the confetti right now?
No, not for the title. I'm just saying because your boy's up top. Marcus Freeman.
So I'm getting the confetti for him being up top, but he might not get a confetti for the actual.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But Marcus Freeman has done the best job. With 1
5-star.
With depending on which agency you look at, it's 0.
Right.
1 5-star depending. He gets the best out of his players. He's got a quarterback. Again, he knows what he does well. 18 carries last game. He does not throw the ball. Everybody was saying that he's a better quarterback, than Ewers.
But he's not.
That's not his game.
He's not. Yes.
But He plays to his strengths.
Right.
They play good defense. They run the football. He gets his guys to play at a level higher
Everybody's bought
than
in.
the stars.
Everybody's
And that's-
bought in.
Yeah. If you look at Texas, you look at Ohio State, their rosters are better than everybody. Their talent level is good. The coaches do a pretty good job, but they don't necessarily elevate. Do they get guys to the NFL? Well, you're going to see Texas got 16 guys going to the draft. So
Yeah.
development, yes. But do they bring it all together in a playoff run and get them there? Marcus Freeman's done the best at that. And for that, he's number one.
I can argue.
So what you got to say?
I can argue your list. I can argue your list. So you have Freeman, Sark, Ryan Day, James Franklin. I can argue. I can argue your point. Cause also, we've talked about Ryan Day in here a bunch, and he has his flaws and the kind of things that he does that can get a little bit too much. He gets in his own way. James Franklin also does. I can argue your list, actually. You know what? I think, this is a fine job that you just did. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, you put my boy up top, so, all your transgressions have been forgiven. So, the Texas Longhorns, unfortunately, lost in the semifinal. We both have them losing in the semifinal, actually. So we were not surprised, but then we were surprised in the manner or the way that game ended. Okay, or maybe not surprised, but like disappointed in the way that game ended. But we both had Ohio State winning just based on a few factors. But going forward, there's been so much talk about the Longhorns, about who the next guy is. You guys are losing a bunch of players and all that kind of stuff. What is the current state, or going forward for the Texas Longhorns? What's up?
So, first thing is, I did get disappointed because they were playing good.
Yeah, they were.
They had
The game
that
was there.
opportunity,
Right?
And they didn't. And then everybody starts clamoring for Arch. Now it's your time, buddy. And here's the here's the thing that I.
Arch time.
Call him in
Austin, Texas.
Everybody's I argue with people online sometimes, and I said, hey, if he's not 32-0 with 2 Heisman trophies and 2 national championships,
He won't be. Arch Manning is not going to be that. Yeah.
Here's the deal. Here's the reality of the situation. You lost 4 offensive linemen.
Yep.
You've lost a running back in Jaden Blue who scored twice in that game. You lost Matthew Golden, Gunnar Helm,
Isaiah Bond,
your
defense.
3 big targets. You've lost defense.
You lost the best corner in the national. What do you call it? No,
the Thorpe
college
winner.
Yep.
You got lost Jade Barron. So here's what you got. You got Malik Muhammad coming back. Solid corner. He's played all year. You got Michael Taft, who decided to come back as a safety, who could have went pro. You lost Makuba.
Simmons might be taking a big step next year. Maybe.
Who's that?
Simmons. The defensive.
He's going to take a big step. Now, the good news they got today was Trey Moore on the edge, who came from UTSA, who was... I think he was shocked to come from UTSA to the SEC. He did some good things down the stretch. One more year. I really think he's going to really take that step. So you've got 5 or 6 pieces on the defensive side of the ball that have had, experience playing time. Problem is going to be now you're going to have Weisner back. They get Baxter, who was hurt towards ACL first game.
Right.
Who's a stud. The offensive line. Everybody has been saying, okay, Quinn held the team back. Quinn couldn't make the throws. He couldn't scramble out of the pocket. I do not want to hear any of those excuses when you see this offensive line. If Arch Manning struggles, okay, he's a first-year full starter, first year in the SEC, goes to Columbus in August, and you think this kid is about to go win the Heisman Trophy and the national championship, you're crazy. You are absolutely crazy. I'm a realist. I think they probably lose 3 games because they've got some challenges where they now have to go to the opponent where they had them here this year.
They're going to Columbus. They're going to Athens.
Go to Columbus. They go to Athens. So at Georgia, at Florida. They got at Kentucky, which is never easy. So, and the bottom line is nobody wanted to say 5 drops for first downs in that game against Ohio State for receivers. O-line, Golden was out the second half.
Yep.
He came back for that last couple of minutes, made a good catch, but still, he's out. Bond was out the whole second half of the season.
Yeah.
So he really just had Gunnar Helm, which teams were keying on because they knew shut down Helm, shut down Golden,
and then
hold them to the running backs. You lose Jaden Blue now, which is your option. That was the receiving option. So now you still have Wisner there. And then you have to refigure your offensive line, which they do have one tackle, Gooseby, who did well. He's going to return. You didn't want to blame, the drops. You didn't want to blame the missed blocks, the key penalties. You didn't want to blame the play calling. So when that happens this year, it better be all on Arch Manning and not anybody else, because all year it was on Ewers and nobody else. Okay?
So now if it happens again, it has to be on the quarterback.
Yes, it has to be.
It's not going to be. They're going to move the goalpost.
They're going to move the goalpost.
They're going to move the goalpost, of course.
They're going to move the goalpost. And that's the part that kills me the most. I just want to real quick while we have it. Okay? Since Colt McCoy left, you had Garrett Gilbert at 7-7, Case McCoy at 9-8, David Ash at 15-7, Tyrone Swoops, Gerard Hurd, Shane Buechele, Sam Ellinger, Hudson Card, Casey Thompson, and Malik Murphy. And Ewers, if he would have returned this year, would move into number 3 all-time winning. Okay, we've seen the stats. Winningest quarterback in Texas football history. He's going to finish 4th, and he didn't even finish his senior year that he had a chance. Colt McCoy came back, and so did Ellinger. You guys, I'm just telling you, settle down a little bit, because this year's going to be a rough ride. Year 2, Arch Manning
will be better.
I think that'll be because they got 3 of the top 15 receivers in the country coming in this recruiting class. It's going to take them a minute to get settled. Take a year, again. But here's what you run into. After this year, the schedules flip. You don't play Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, none of those teams this year. You will second year. So even if you get to that point where your team's firing on all cylinders,
you're going to play some really good teams. You're going to be hard. Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes you get what you ask for, and it's not always the best.
Listen, and I don't know why. I feel like Ewers did get a lot of heat, and all that kind of stuff. They loved Ellinger. For whatever reason, Texas fans love Ellinger. And Ellinger is not even 50% of the quarterback that Ewers is. So I don't know what the deal is. So, let's pipe down, Longhorn fans.
They got spoiled with Vince Young and Colt McCoy as running quarterbacks. Ellinger was kind of that to an extent, and they wanted Ewers to be more mobile because they saw Arch Manning could move a little bit. Sarkisian's offense.
That's not his offense.
We talked about Mark Sanchez, Carson Palmer, Jake Locker, Tua, Mac Jones. These are the quarterbacks that Sarkisian has had.
They're all pocket for the most part,
His offense is not a running quarterback.
Option,
Can you maybe make a play on the ground here or there? Yes. But you guys that are out there thinking he's about to light it up for 100 on the ground and 300 in the air are absolutely out of your freaking mind. I'm sorry. I get heated on this, man.
My favorite thing is when you. Oh my God!
I've just seen too many couch coaches.
Oh man!
All they can do is sling their TV remote. They could not sling a football to save their life, and they want to tell somebody that. You should don't let the door hit you on the way out. Ewers is going to make more money in a 12-year NFL career being a backup than you'll make the rest of your life.
Oh my God!
All right, you can move on.
You sure you got everything out?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh my God! Oh, it keeps getting better every time you talk about Texas Longhorns, man. It keeps getting better.
To be honest with you, I was like, man, this would be the time if I was ever, gonna look for another team or this would be it,
right.
And I still can't because I've nobody forced me to be a Longhorn fan.
Right.
Like this was, so for me, it's like it's ingrained in me.
True.
But I see the fans, and I'm like, you
it gets
guys,
annoying, man.
Come on.
It gets annoying. Hey. All right, let's talk about the national championship game happening on Monday. Okay. So Ohio State and Notre Dame. Notre Dame, as of now, are 8.5 points favorite. Crazy. I mean, not crazy. I understand it. This is what I would say before you get into your match, your analysis. Ohio State is clearly the better team. Okay. This is a bad matchup for Notre Dame and all of that. I mean, anybody that has watched college football all season and has watched these two teams and has watched the quarterbacks and just how they play knows that if Ohio State can just include their offense and like their the perimeter game with their NFL Ibuka and with Tate and then Jeremiah Smith, Notre Dame doesn't have a chance in this game. Ohio State has a great defense. Also, it's going to be hard to for Riley Leonard to do maybe all the things that he does. He doesn't throw the ball that very well and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about he had not completed, I think, a 20-yard pass up to the last game. So this is a hard game for Notre Dame. Ohio State clearly the favorites, deserve to be the favorites. But then again, we're not here. I'm not here for the analysis. Okay, I'm not here. If you want the analysis, go to the other guys. Okay. Or you do the great analysis over here. Me, I'm here on hope and prayers right now. I think Notre Dame needs to force Ohio State in the phone booth as they did as Michigan did against Ohio State. Mm-hmm. If they can trick Ohio State to run the ball, double their receivers, and live or die by the run game, which they don't do as well. Try and get Howard to hold the ball. Will Howard to hold the ball a little bit longer, okay, instead of the fast passes and all that kind of stuff. If they can do that, maybe they have a chance. Listen, Notre Dame does not have a lot of chances in this game. It's going to be hard. I love Marcus Freeman, but I don't care. I'm a Marcus Freeman guy.
That's why they play the games, and it's not on paper. Yeah. Everybody always, it's going to be a blow. It's going to be There's no games played on a controller or paper.
It's going to come down to whose team is most bought in, okay? And, hey, it could be a bigger stage for Ohio State. I hope it is. And then Notre Dame looks like the more composed team. The more physical team, hopefully. I hope it comes down to something like that. So my logic tells me to pick Ohio State, but I don't care. Out Notre Dame to get it freaking done on Monday. But, of course, you talk to me today.
I'm going to give you one play in the Texas-Ohio State game. The screen pass.
Before halftime.
You take that play away, it's a different game.
100%.
It was a tight, physical... Ohio State came out, scored first drive. Texas defense settled in midway through into the first quarter, first part of the second. I see Notre Dame doing that. They're not going to give up the screenplay. I don't know if it was the coaches who said, hey, beware of the screen and didn't tell his players to auto drop or what that was. But those little bitty things are the biggest difference in the game. I see this being a Notre Dame sucks the life out of the game by their running game, by the quarterback making a few plays, and I can see where they get this game, ugly,
nasty,
some weird
annoying,
things happen, some weird things happen. The game, all of a sudden, you look at it and feels like it just started and there's 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and it may be like a 7-3 game.
I hope so.
The secondary for Texas played about as well as you can play them.
True.
They played the game. They laid the blueprint out. I just don't think
Notre Dame
has the secondary to hold it. But here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I think will happen, and here's what I want to happen. I really don't think it's going to be close.
No, it could get ugly fast.
But I think that what you're probably going to see is just this sloppy kind of weird game that's like maybe a 3-point game late into end of third, early fourth. And Ohio State scores a late touchdown to put it away. I think it's probably a 10-point game.
Okay.
I think everybody's going to predict that it's going to be an absolute blowout. I don't think the country is going to be on Notre Dame's side. Outside of Ohio State, not just Michigan fans, not just, obviously Texas fans since, we lost. And you're going to have the entire country pulling for you. It's going to be that overwhelming sense of pride. And you just, look, and people don't talk enough about how much that stuff affects the game.
Yes.
It's going to affect this game. All the pressure's on Ohio State.
100%. And I'm happy you brought that up, because when they played last year, it was the same thing. All Lou Holtz said was like Ohio State was not physical. That's all Lou Holtz said. And apparently it got into Ryan Day's head. And on that final play, Notre Dame had 10 players on the field. That was the only reason Ohio State scored. They scored with the final play. They scored that 6. They didn't even have to kick a field goal, and then they won the game. There was like 3 seconds left. And then after that, Ryan Day goes off. Physicality, blah, 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 this and that. Nobody believes, it's Ohio State against the wall. They continue to be Ohio State against the wall. I think that's what's going to happen again. I think Ryan Day is going to end up overthinking this game. It's going to be like Pep Guardiola whenever he plays in the Champions League final. Overthinks it, does weird stuff, and, wants to show physical toughness, and then it's going to come back and bite him. I think that's the one thing about Ohio State and Ryan Day. So, it could, like you said, I think, with everybody supporting Notre Dame, it definitely is going to they're going to try and be that whole thing again. It's us against them mentality, and we're going to try and prove how tough and physical we are, and it might come back to bite them.
Yeah, because one mistake from Ohio State, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, now everybody's right. Yeah. Everybody's okay now.
Panic.
Here comes the second. Panic. And then it becomes, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, The Replacements, where he talks about quicksand as a quarterback. You make one play, doesn't go right. All of a sudden you get the ball back. Second play doesn't go right. And everything just starts pounding. And then before you know it, you're in over your head.
Yep.
Same thing. In a game like this, it's one game, 60 minutes. You can shrink it. Notre Dame will shrink it.
Yep.
We'll see what happens, because I think if you can make it an ugly, unconventional game, you got a shot.
100%.
If you try to go out there and go toe to toe,
no, they will kill you.
Yeah.
So wings on Monday then.
What's that?
We eating wings on Monday for the game.
Let's do it.
All right.
Are we cooking them, or are we gonna get Buffalo Wild Wings?
We'll see what get approved by the committee in the house. So.
What is it, Monday? Man, we could do the Hooters wings and the Hooters bread sauce.
I'm down. I'm down. All right. Next game. So we have Ohio State winning, but we
have Ohio State winning.
Right.
I do have them covering, but again, I don't think it's going to be that beat down. I think it's actually going to be, like I said, a 3-point game.
Right. And then last minute they score a touchdown and take it over. All right. So the Ravens and the Bills play Sunday, and that is going to be whoever. That's where the MVP is going to be won. Unfortunately, even though the regular season is over, but Lamar Jackson going against Josh Allen is just going to be where they're going to settle everything. And Ravens are a point favorite, 1 point favorite in that game.
I tell you, what I saw this weekend.
It's supposed to be cold, snow, rain, snowy. But then it's also cold in Baltimore. But I don't know. It's not as cold in Baltimore as it is in Buffalo. But yeah.
What I just see Baltimore winning.
Really?
I see him getting over the hill, and I've seen some things out there like who needs it more, whether it's Josh Allen or whether it's Lamar. I think Lamar needs it more. I just feel like it's going to come down to who's going to be able to make the most plays on the ground. And the Ravens are so dynamic with not just Derrick Henry.
And
He's got, especially in those kinds of conditions. If it was airing it out, if it wasn't going to be as bad, I'd lean Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I just think, field conditions, weather, home field advantage, all that factors into it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, again, it can come back to bite you if your team is not set up to play that way all the time. Are they used to playing in that weather? Absolutely. They played a couple of games in that weather this year. But the teams they played were not the same style that they're about to play. And so I've got Baltimore winning this game.
Baltimore is also kind of the same as Ravens, And thinking about it right now, I can see it because Bills can get weird for whatever reason. At the end of the game, situational football. Do you remember that against Houston? They have Josh Allen passing the ball 3 times for whatever reason in their end zone. So they can get a little weird, and they do get a little Josh Allen reliant. So maybe you're probably right on Ravens probably winning this game. I
just think this is the year Lamar gets over the hump. Okay. I just do. Okay. I just think it's going to be, because what have you seen over the last few years that it always comes down to? Baltimore and who?
Chiefs. Yep.
And I think it's going to be the same thing. Yep. I think it's going to be Baltimore and the Chiefs again.
Right. Okay.
So
Rams are going to, Philly this weekend to play the Eagles, and the Eagles are 6-point favorites.
I think the spread is way too high, but I picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl because of their defense.
You did.
I think the Rams cover, but man,
Eagles gonna win. That's what you got.
Stafford didn't have hardly any. There was a couple of plays where he had to force it and through some errant passes, but the Eagles are going to put pressure on him. He's not going to be able to sit back there and do that.
You're not worried about the Eagles' offense at all?
I'm not, because if you look at them all year, they're just a methodical, slow, sluggish offense that just gets first downs. That's it.
Yeah, they do.
They're not a big, can they make a big play? Yeah. Devontae Smith can hit a big one. Brown can hit a big one. Barkley out of the backfield. But if you look at it, most of their big plays have come from Barkley, which is out of the backfield. Yep. So they're just a slow, methodical, take the life out of the game offense, and then they let their defense.
Man, I hate watching the Eagles play.
I hate that I have to pick them here. I do. Because they've built that team. Really, the way it needs. Jalen Hurts. He looks slow. He's hurt. He looks like he can't throw a freaking football. And all he's got to do is throw it 8 yards, 5 yards. Pick out Goddard for a first. That's it.
Yep.
And if you can play slow, methodical football and suck the life out of the game, and then it's up to the other team to go against that D line, I just don't see it.
Yeah,
so I've got
the Rams
the Eagles.
are going to have to pass the ball. They're going to have to pass, I've
got the Eagles winning. Now, again, the 6 points.
It's too much.
I think that's too much. I think it's probably going to be 5.
Okay. So, I was going to go 4, but okay, I can see 5. All right. God. Well, so Ohio State, Ravens, and the Eagles. Okay, great. Do you have anything last words?
Last will and testament. No, I don't. I'm sad that college football season comes to an end right now because it's been a good year.
It has.
As obviously a Longhorn fan, got to boost my team up. Got a lot of people to replace. I'm excited about the future of the program. It's better than a lot of teams within the state, within the Southeastern Conference. And like I said earlier, the only thing that I will say is,
let's be realistic.
I think the fan base has put so much pressure on that kid that as soon as he makes a mistake next year, they're gonna turn on him. And I really think they, got to be careful just with young athletes on how you treat them. Again, these kids, they're making millions of bucks now.
They're still young.
They're still. We shouldn't be in this position. We are. Should kids be making that money for their name, image, and likeness? Absolutely. They should get a part of it.
But not that crazy.
Is this what comes with that? A lot of kids are going to have to look at it and say, hey, is it worth it? Because I could go to a smaller program, not have that notoriety, make a little bit of money, make it, have a chance at the NFL. So, again, for my program, I think there's a lot of good things happening, but the most important position in the entire country and the biggest name in college football this year, I just fear that we've put so much pressure on this kid that he's going to crumble, and I hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
That's it.
And then also from me, Texas Tech, national championship title next year. Red Raiders, baby. All right. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.